I don't really know how long I'm going to keep this video up because it's not really a message, but at the same time, it's something that's got to be talked about, I think, because we live in a day and age where you see people posting on YouTube like, oh, I'm so depressed, or I'm sad and lonely, or I'm this and that. And I mean, people are getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of likes and thousands and thousands and thousands of views on these videos, and I am not quite sure why, apart from maybe the fact that people can just relate to them. And in a way, people like to see that there are people that are doing worse off than they are, maybe. I don't know what exactly it is. And the cries for help that I've even received over the past couple years of being in this niche have almost been too much to bear. You know, it's really difficult to see young people, especially, that are filled with such angst. And, you know, fortunately, we have a few people in the Regal Change Academy community that are seeing that things are getting better where they are. And I think that that's fantastic. I think that's great to hear. But I think for the majority of people, I don't know. It seems like it's getting worse to me. I don't even like that, because I think we all need to have in our lives something to be inspired by. You know, something to, dance to or sing about, so to speak, right? We all need something that keeps us in our own humane qualities, I suppose. It just seems to me that there's so many people that have lost that. There's so many people that are not even identified with their own intuition or instincts. They've completely severed themselves from it, and they've begun to be so lonely and sad and depressed. And my heart goes out to these people. And I really feel for these people. I feel for the people that are going through hard times. You know, because I know what it's like. I've been at rock bottom before, and to feel like you're God's only child and God's the only one that's really on your side, and that there's nothing that anybody can truly do for you, that you just have to do it yourself. And there's really no other excuses. There's really no other option except to just keep going. There is no other better options than to just believe in the process and to trust the process. But it's just getting too much. Like, it's too much to ignore. We live in a system where it's literally designed for you not to win. And this is why I say play the system to play the system. Because even me, myself, I've noticed that because I make videos daily and because I'm doing things on the daily that have to do with, the world. Like, because when you choose to be an entrepreneur, you don't get to not work. You just don't. You are now working 24/7. Or you can be a rat in a cage at your 9 to 5. At least that's the way that I see it. Now, I think there are some people that just are not meant for entrepreneurship. And I think that there's no shame in working a job while also investing in other things to build your wealth. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're just working a job just to work a job, I think that's where the issue lies. And there's just so many people that are just working a job so that they can gamble or that they can party on the weekends. Or people's biggest aspiration is Friday nowadays. It's crazy. Their biggest aspiration is just not working for 2 days. And they don't want to, they don't see the long term. Like, it took me years to get to this point to where, and I'm not even where I want to be, right? I've mentioned this quite a bit, where I'm not even where I want to be, but it does seem like I have more faith in humanity than humanity does itself. It really seems like that sometimes. Like, I don't want to be around people that are always going through hard times. And I mean that with utmost sincerity. Because I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just saying, like, do you guys really not have anything going for yourselves? Like, like you're not even trying, man. And look, I get it, because you can almost be like 30 years old. Like, I'm almost 30. I'll be 30 next year, which is crazy to think about. And I feel as though I lived my 20s making a lot of mistakes that in the long run will actually lead me to a better life. But I did a lot of failing in my 20s. And it seems like a lot of people just put off failing until it's too late in their minds. Because, like Led Zeppelin says in Stairway to Heaven, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. There's still time to change the road you're on, man. There's never a time when you can't have a choice. And that's the beautiful thing about living this life, is we always have a choice. We always have a choice, but it's a series of choices that we make to get to ourselves in this position where we have to make certain sacrifices, or we have to just commit to a certain form of justice. Because as the Bible says, to do justice is more appropriate and better in the eyes of the Lord than sacrifice. And I don't know how to reach these people that are just so fed up with being fed up that they've become black-pilled. I can't relate to that. I don't know how to relate to these people anymore. And it's to the point to where if you are going through good times, it's almost like people are pissed at you for going through good times. If you're feeling good about your pathway and trajectory in life, people don't get it. Like they hate it. And I've seen this with my own videos. I talk about collapsing, or I talk about, and this was, over the course of the last 2 years, but like whenever I talk about things being difficult or things collapsing or like pains or whatever, people tune in. But if I talk about how you can change your reality, if it's in accordance to God's law, statutes, and commandments, you can change your reality if you really want to. All of a sudden, people get a problem with it. And honestly, I think that that's on the people that have a problem with it. I don't think that they have a godlike mindset. They claim to follow Jesus. They claim to do this. They claim to do that. They claim to blah, 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 blah. No, you don't, man. No, you don't. Because you wouldn't be upset with somebody being joyful. Like, there's nothing wrong with a person being joyful. And you're also comparing in that instance. That's how you know that they're not actually developed and they're not actually mature, because they're comparing themselves to your experience. And anytime you compare your life experience to somebody else's life experience, it doesn't go anywhere. You literally have to will it into existence. I have nothing, basically, when it comes to family, when it comes to, at least I had nothing. When it came to family, when it came to friends, when it came to support, I had nothing, dude. For years, I had nothing. And it's only been within the last 2-3 years that I've been able to cultivate way more positive relationships. And I'm way more selective than I've ever been. And I can be. I have the grace to. I am prospering in the sense so that I can serve the people with compassion, rather than just serving to get something back from the people, to feel like I get what I am owed. And that's what a lot of these Christian people do. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't like people who do this type of stuff, like they all they have to talk about is negativity and how crazy the world is and how much I don't like drama, but and then they talk about all the drama that they're in. I'll say right now, I don't care about the drama. I don't mind drama. I don't mind rocking the boat. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm able to have a dialogue where I disagree with somebody. And yeah, it may be like a little dramatic or whatever, but who cares? I don't trust anybody that's, this is just a side note, but I don't trust anybody that's like, I'm not into drama. I'm not into drama. Says the most dramatic person likely. Like, that's usually how it goes. And don't get me wrong, you know, you might actually say that with some sincerity, and you might actually mean it, but for the most part, I don't trust a lot of these people out here that talk about how, oh, I don't like drama. I don't like to talk about negativity. It's like, well, you kind of have to be able to talk about it sometimes, though. Like in this video, that's what I'm doing here. And I don't like adding to the negativity, of course, but we have to address it. We have to address what the problem is. And we have to come up with some solutions. Okay, I've been doing financial audits all day. And you know the cool thing about financial audits is that it just is what it is. The numbers cannot lie. Once you see the numbers on the screen or the paper or whatever it is you're looking at for the financial audit, it's there, man. It's there, and you know exactly what you're looking at. And then you can see the BS right there and then. You can see the BS. Or you can see like, okay, well, this is actually what's working. This is actually what's good. Fantastic. Let's go. Let's do this. Otherwise, you're not actually achieving anything. You're not actually doing something about your life. And I think that that's one of the greatest mistakes that a lot of people make, is that they don't actually want to just, like, they say they want things and then they don't commit to them. When it's right there, it's like, no, you just want to fucking complain. If you want to complain, or you just want things, go somewhere else. And honestly, you're probably going to lose a lot of people if you have that boundary, because it's just the way that people are, man. People just don't care. I think, you know what it is? I think people are so sad and depressed because they don't care enough about their life. They don't care enough to give a shit about, I was going to say crap, but I'm flared up right now. So they don't give they just don't give a shit. They just don't. And it's like, that's your problem, dude. That's your problem, woman. You don't actually care. You just care enough to like dip in. And then you don't want to let go of not caring because it's safer for you. You think it's safer to just pretend to care, because it actually hurts when you care sometimes. It actually hurts. And people don't actually want to feel that. But the thing is like, that pain is going to be what gets you through life sometimes. Okay? The pain that I've endured and the wisdom that I've been granted by God because of it, it's really a blessing, but it doesn't feel like it in the moment. It doesn't feel like it in the moment at all. But it feels like a curse sometimes, especially if you're highly empathetic and compassionate. You need to learn how to be in your own center, though. You need to learn how to not take on the emotions of other people. And I think so many times people will just get like in this loop of wanting to experience just to experience, and then they're getting all of these fixes without actually being committed. And it's really just artificial fixes because it's actually not any type of form of commitment. And I think that's really the biggest issue. when it comes to this kind of thing. People are sad and lonely. And here's the thing also. I think people, young people especially, would be a lot less sad and lonely if they started to look into Bitcoin, number one, for your finances. Number two, start reading the Bible so that you can stay grounded in God. Number three, start lifting weights or eating properly. Okay, stop eating out so much, or just stop eating out at all, because I haven't eaten out since June of last year. And not only has it saved me money, but golly, like I'm eating just very pure food, very good food. I don't need to I don't need to try to figure out life in the sense, because I know just what my body responds to. And I don't think that enough people put an emphasis on their finance. I don't think enough people put an emphasis on their spirituality, their true relationship to God, rather than just trying to regurgitate information from the Bible or whatever. Because I think that's what a lot of other people in religion do. They just regurgitate information. They don't actually feel it in their heart. They just regurgitate information. They understand it intellectually, but they don't feel it spiritually. And I think if you get really those three things, like, and stay creative, okay, be creative. I was telling this guy yesterday, because he was asking me, like, what do I do in my free time? And I said, well, I like to write, and I like to paint, and I like to make music. And he was like, you do all those things? I said, yeah. He's like, wow, you really don't have anything better to do? I was like, what do you mean? What would you expect me to do? He's like, I don't know, like, I don't know, isn't there football to watch or something? Like, NPCs, bro. Geeks. And this is a guy that follows Jesus. I think sports are a freaking disease, man. They're becoming a disease. I love playing sports. I think playing sports is good because it keeps you competitive. It activates that warrior archetype from Jungian psychology, right? We understand the Jungian archetypes. We understand that we need to channel those things. We understand that they are personalities fighting for dominance inside of us. And yet it's like, what are you guys doing, man? Like, what you think sitting on the couch yelling at the screen or whatever, you think that's important compared to, like, writing a book? This is my book. I've spent 5 years writing this book. And reading through it, I still get inspired. Like, this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I hadn't, like, really read, like, a good portion of my book. And I read it the other day. Like, I read, like, a full chapter. And I was feeling inspired by my own words. And I thought to myself, geez, in some ways, I felt as though my past self wrote what I read for my present self in that moment. And it was just, I mean, it was awe-inspiring to some degree, because I know that that wasn't really me. That was God working through me. That was just the Spirit and the truth. And I think that's why I had the potency that it did. I would much rather be able to look back and see my achievements, like this book, that I myself can get inspired by and start doing whatever I need to do, than to watch football or any other sport for that matter. It's really not that funny. It's actually sad. And it's like, no wonder you're sad and lonely. No wonder so many people are depressed and anxious, because they don't have anything worth living for themselves. Me, I spent 5 years of my life on this thing. And everything that I've done and will probably ever do will stem and be rooted from this book. And I'm so grateful to God for it. So really, I guess this kind of turned into a message. I don't really know where I'm going to go with these sometimes, because I have something to say and I'm just going with the stream of consciousness. But I suppose if there is any message to take from this, it's that create the meaning of your life in accordance to God's will, and you'll find your purpose. In fact, I don't think you actually find your purpose to some degree. I think you kind of cultivate it. I wouldn't necessarily go far to say that you create it, because God created you for a purpose. You just have to discover, really, and cultivate what that purpose is. So I hope that this video was useful and insightful for you. Peace, and stay blessed.